When I moved to Korea, I remember praying, not just for the adventure ahead or the experiences I would have, but for the people I would meet along the way. I prayed for friends. At the time, they were nameless and faceless. I didn't know what they would look like, sound like, or where they would come from, but I still prayed for them. I prayed for their presence and for their goodness. I prayed for people who would walk this journey with me, people I could lean on, laugh with, cry with, and celebrate with, and for the kind of friendship that would remind me that I'm never alone. Because the truth is, no man is an island. We are not meant to navigate life alone, surrounded by the waters of our own thoughts and struggles. We are not meant to be isolated, self-sufficient, and cut off from the warmth of community. We need each other, not just for companionship, but for survival, for growth, and for joy. I have learned that it's not enough to simply have friends. It's important to pray for them too, to cover their lives in prayer, to intercede for them when they may not be able to do it for themselves, and to ask God to make you the kind of friend they need. Not just someone who's fun to be around, but someone who offers real support, real encouragement, and real love. When you move to a different country, leaving behind everything familiar, your family, your childhood friends, your home, the need for meaningful friendships become even greater. You need people to celebrate your wins, both big and small. People who will shout your name from the rooftops when you succeed, and who will sit beside you in silence when you feel like you have failed. One of the greatest lessons I have learned is that friendship is not just about finding people who meet your needs. It's about being the friend someone else needs too. Along with my prayers, I prayed that I would be the kind of friend who leaves people feeling lighter, stronger, and more loved after every encounter. A friend who listens, who shows up, who makes space for both the laughter and the tears. And God answered my prayers in ways I could have never imagined. Over time, the nameless, faceless people I prayed for began to appear in real life. I still remember how I met each of my friends here in Korea. Moments that seemed so small at the time, but that turned into some of the most important connections of my life. From spontaneous conversations at epic orientation, to random walks around the soccer field, to bus rides that led to weekly coffee dates, to unexpected friendships that blossomed over hours of braiding each other's hairs, and to colleagues that became friends. Each encounter a reminder that when you pray for people, God answers faithfully. I have enjoyed seeing our friendship grow and evolve. We've had high seasons and we've had low ones too. But through them all, you've shown up with kindness, laughter, patience, and joy. What I love most is how we've celebrated everything together. Not just the big, obvious wins, but also the quiet, tender milestones. Finishing an exam, getting through a tough week, waking up with a better mindset. You've always seen me, not just for what I achieve, but for who I am becoming. Recently, my friends did something that touched my heart so deeply. When I earned my first degree, a Bachelor of Science in Biotechnology, it was during the pandemic. My graduations happened online on YouTube Live. There was no stage, no crowd, no moment of walking across the stage and hearing my name being called. And even now, with my second qualification completed, I'm in Korea, while my graduation will be happening back home in South Africa. I had already made peace with the fact that I'd be missing this graduation too. I told myself, it's okay, I'll just let this one go quietly too. But my friends had other plans. They decided to throw me a graduation ceremony, a celebration that made up for everything I thought I had missed. They organized a beautiful party, complete with a graduation gown and cap, just so I could experience that moment of being honored. They celebrated me like it was their win. And in a way, it was, because they walked this journey with me. They heard my late night voice notes. They saw my doubts, my exhaustion, and my hope. They knew how much this meant, and they made it matter. In a foreign land, so far away from home, they made me feel seen and valued. They reminded me that I'm not alone. They reminded me of God's love through their love. They reminded me that there are people who truly show up for you, not for what you can offer, but simply because they care. They have always celebrated me, not just in big moments like completing a whole degree, but even in smaller moments, like the time I finished exams, the time I needed a hug, the time I needed an ear. They have always shown up with love, excitement, and so much support. Even more beautiful was how they included my family and friends from back home. They asked them to record video messages of congratulations, bridging the distance between continents and making me feel deeply loved and seen. It was more than just a celebration. It was a reflection of how much they cared, how intentional they were about making me feel special. And it made me realize something even more deeply. Gratitude for the people in your life should never be something you keep silent about. Tell your friends you love them, thank them, celebrate them, pray for them, be intentional, because friendships, real ones, are some of the greatest blessings we will ever receive. And if you're watching this, I hope you take a moment today to be grateful for the people in your lives. So send that message, make that phone call, plan that meetup, celebrate your people loudly and with joy. Because at the end of the day, we may forget what someone said or what someone did, but we never forget how they made us feel. And I, for one, will never forget the way my friends made me feel in this season of my life. To my friends in Korea, you are my answered prayers. You are my family away from home. You are the reason I made it through the hardest and most beautiful parts of this journey. You are my best memories. You are in all my favorite moments in Korea. You have made this experience more beautiful than I could imagine. You are the living, breathing evidence of God's goodness in my life. And for that, I will always be grateful. So, here's to friendship, here's to showing up, and here's to love in its purest, most powerful form.
Shate wa duma, na ke kwena, ke phamphang ya madiba. Kwena ke sana ka moteng ga metsi ka phela ka tsela kwa ntla metsi ka phela. Ka dila ka nna modidi wa itumetseng ka huma ka nna mohumi wa itumetseng. Ga ke mohumi yo le ba go ja dinama alla. O le mo kgobokanetseng mo, ba le kopantseng ka jeno, ke mpedi, ke sebata sa dira sa mototobjane. Moreko ka kgomo e swana e tswang mo nokeng ya lepelle ya reng fa e tshelano ka e bopi. Ke motho wa bolebelebele la mmutswa pele. Motho wa bommeletse di mogano bo retse. O bapantswe le kgomo, o phadile kgomo a phala le motho, a phala le mosadi a iphotlile, motho a bophuthang dikobo e re wesa. Anke o ba fe matlho a bona nte ba bone fa ba gatang teng. Monna a namela thaba a fitlhelang ko e gatile thebe a itletlebolla letlalo a la apara la motshwanna ba re ga ilome ya oma e ka be eloma e ka be e fedise magosi ke nkwe ke tuludi ya dikgaga.
Yeah, sign off, Letty ma'am to YouTube.
I love it.